Sarah Mitchell sat nervously in her wheelchair at the upscale rooftop restaurant, her blonde hair catching the city lights behind her. At 28, she had learned to read people quickly. The pitying glances, the awkward smiles, the ones who looked everywhere except at her chair. Tonight felt different though, and not in a good way. Her co-workers, Emma and Marcus, stood in the background, phones ready, barely containing their giggles. Sarah had overheard their plan in the break room last week. They thought it would be hilarious to set her up on a fake blind date with someone way out of her league. Someone who would make excuses and leave. Someone who would give them a story to whisper about for months. What Sarah didn't know was that the man they had contacted was David Chen, the 42-year-old CEO of the very company where they all worked. Emma had sent the message as a prank, never expecting a response. But David had agreed, though not for the reasons they imagined. Sarah smoothed her lace dress and tried to steady her breathing. She had been in this wheelchair for 5 years now, since the accident that changed everything. Her engagement had ended shortly after. Friends had slowly drifted away. She had built walls around her heart, brick by painful brick. Then she saw him walking toward her, tall, well-dressed in a charcoal suit, with kind eyes that seemed to carry their own stories. David Chen pulled out the wooden chair across from her and sat down without hesitation, without that telltale flicker of surprise or discomfort. "Sarah," he asked gently, his voice warm. "I'm David. It's really nice to meet you." Behind them, Emma and Marcus exchanged confused glances. This wasn't going according to plan. "Hi," Sarah managed, her guard still up. "I have to say, I'm a bit surprised you actually showed up." David smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Why wouldn't I? From what I heard, you're someone worth meeting." They began to talk, and something unexpected happened. The conversation flowed like water, finding its path. David asked about her work in graphic design, her love of old movies, her cat named Humphrey. He listened, truly listened, leaning forward with genuine interest. "I love film noir myself," David said. "There's something about those old stories. It's the way they captured human complexity without needing to spell everything out." Sarah found herself relaxing, laughing at his gentle humor. Then David did something that made her heart skip. He began sharing his own story. "My younger sister, Rachel, she used a wheelchair for 3 years after a skiing accident," he said quietly. "I watched people treat her differently overnight, like she had become invisible, or fragile, or somehow less than who she was the day before. It broke my heart. Not the accident, but the way the world changed toward her." Sarah's eyes widened. "What happened to her?" "She fought her way back, had multiple surgeries. She walks now, but those years changed how I see the world, how I see what really matters in people." David's voice carried the weight of truth. "She taught me that strength comes in forms we don't always recognize, that dignity isn't about what your body can or cannot do." Behind them, Emma's smile had faded. Marcus had lowered his phone. The evening deepened, and David suggested they move to a quieter corner of the terrace. As they talked under the stars, Sarah felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not hope that her circumstances would change, but hope that someone could see her, truly see her, beyond the wheelchair. "Okay, I'll be honest with you," David asked as the night grew late. Sarah nodded, preparing herself for the inevitable letdown. "I knew this was set up as some kind of joke. Emma sent that message from her work email. I recognized the domain." Sarah's face flushed with embarrassment and anger. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't." David reached across the table, stopping just short of her hand, asking permission with his eyes. She nodded, and he gently placed his hand over hers. "I know you didn't. I came anyway because I wanted to turn something mean-spirited into something real, and I'm so glad I did." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. "Why would you do that?" because Rachel taught me that every person deserves to be seen for who they are, and because sometimes the best things in life happen when we choose kindness over cruelty, connection over judgment. Behind them, Emma had started crying. Marcus stood frozen, the weight of their actions finally hitting home. They had meant to humiliate Sarah, to create entertainment at her expense. Instead, they had witnessed something that would haunt them, shame them, and ultimately change them. David stood and moved behind Sarah's wheelchair. "May I?" he asked. She nodded, and he wheeled her to the edge of the terrace where the city lights sparkled like fallen stars. "You know what I see when I look at you?" David said softly. "I see someone who gets up every morning and faces a world that isn't built for her. Someone who works hard, loves deeply, and refuses to let circumstances define her worth. That takes more courage than most people will ever know." Sarah wiped her tears. "I see someone who could have ignored a cruel prank, but chose kindness instead. That's rare." "Okay." They stood there in comfortable silence, and then David asked the question that would change everything. "Would you like to have dinner again? A real one, not a setup. Just two people who'd like to know each other better." "I'd like that very much," Sarah whispered, as David walked Sarah to her accessible van. Emma and Marcus approached, shamefaced and tearful. "Mr. Chen." "We didn't know," Emma started. David turned, his expression firm but not unkind. "You didn't know I was the CEO, but you knew Sarah was a human being, deserving of respect. That should have been enough. I'll see you both in my office Monday morning." After they left, Sarah looked up at David. "You're the CEO. Guilty as charged," he said with a gentle smile. "Does that change anything?" "Only that I'm impressed you kept such a huge secret all evening." "Some things matter more than titles," David said, "like getting to know someone extraordinary." 3 months later, they were still having those dinners, and Emma and Marcus, after sincere apologies and real personal growth, had become Sarah's genuine friends and fierce advocates at the office, because sometimes the cruelest pranks become the most beautiful beginnings. And sometimes the people who see us most clearly are the ones who have learned to look with their hearts. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories about kindness, connection, and the beautiful ways life surprises us. Leave a comment below about a time when someone's kindness changed your perspective. Your story might inspire someone else today.